Hello and welcome to the Edge and Foundation's Concrete Estimating Sneak Peek. All attendees have been muted, but if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into your GoToWebinar box and I'll try to answer them at the end. Okay, so my name's Dave Chapman. I'm the sales director over at the Edge, and I'm going to take you through this webinar. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Edge and why its software is unique, and then we'll jump right into the software itself and show you what it looks like. For those who don't know us, the Edge has been around since 1986, working with estimating software specifically for subcontractors, and more specifically, we've been working with commercial roofing and commercial interior contractors. We were acquired by Foundation a few years back, so we all integrate with their accounting system, of course. And as far as we know, we're the first all-in-one takeoff and estimating software specifically designed for concrete contractors. A little bit about the estimating software itself. When I mean all-in-one is you can measure, and as you do your measurements, the estimate is being changed real time. So there's no data transfer issues. Changes to the estimate are made real time as you do the takeoff. Even if you make changes to the takeoff afterwards, you get a revised set of prints that automatically updates the bid, so you don't have to worry about resending that measurement information. So it's one consistent way for all the estimators to use, which makes it pretty nimble. Also, the Edge uses cloud-based data, which is important. Makes the program and your estimates accessible from any machine. Means you can have multiple estimators working inside of the same bid. You can even have multiple locations if you have more than one office working inside at the same bid. There's a check-in and check-out process that really protects the bid so that you don't have people double dipping on the same type of information. Leaving bids saved on your local machine or your local server leaves them vulnerable to attacks. Having them in the cloud, it's secure. They've got multiple locations for data redundancy. So very important these days to keep your all of your data secure, but especially your estimates. Right. Another thing that's unique to the Edge, and I've seen some concrete contractors out there using some generic estimating software, but we've built assemblies or conditions the way that you would want to look at them. We've consulted with some of the leaders in the industry as we built this software. We've made sure that it's asking questions specific to you and what you're looking to do with the software. Lookups and things that you're finding are for every type of trade out there. They're specific to concrete. Same thing with how you order things. You may price them one way and order them a different way. So we've made sure that we've made that specific to the concrete contractors. And for everyone that will be using our software, we'll customize the labor specifically for the way you want to look at things. Some people want to look at them more generic. Some people may want to get more detailed. So we'll work with you to build the labor that way. Okay. Also, an important feature and something that the Edge does really well is how it creates reports. The reports that the Edge has, and you can custom create, work for management, for project management. You may have certain reports just for your field personnel, and even what you want to send to accounting and interact directly with the accounting software. Now, all of these reports that are in the Edge are available in the cloud. What that means is that someone doesn't even need to have the Edge software. They just need a username and a password and a browser, and they can look up a pricing report or a stocking report for any particular job that you give them access to. Okay. Next up, just want to talk about how we communicate with other platforms. The Edge talks to most accounting softwares, especially Foundation, which is our parent company. We also have an app for the iPad that helps you communicate called Edge on Site with people in the field and your foreman. And we also have ways to communicate directly with your suppliers and manufacturers, get updated pricing, and I'll show you that in the software. So without further ado, let's just jump right in and show you some of the things inside of the software. So with the Edge, the process is a 6-step process. We always train it and hammer repetition on the 6 steps of the estimate. The first part the first step is setting up your estimate, and that will be loading any blueprints that you might want to bring in. You can bring in a whole set, or you can just bring in specific to what you're working on. We can bring in CAD files, TIFF files, PDF files. So you just load them in there. They're saved in the Edge, which is very important, because if you've downloaded these prints to your desktop and you move them, if you're using a takeoff software, then you lose connection once you've moved those prints or you've moved the folder. The Edge saves a copy of those prints in the cloud for you, so even if you accidentally deleted them from your computer, the Edge will still keep a copy of those blueprints in the estimate itself. And you can come in here and review your pages. You can make notes on them, but all that stuff is the first step in the Edge. Once you've created or loaded your blueprints into the software, you're just going to tell it which pages you want to do takeoffs with. So I've chosen the foundation, the slab, an elevated slab, just to show you some other things. But once you've set up your pages, you're now going to start building your conditions. And the Edge has conditions built specifically for concrete. And just to give you an idea, we've got some footings, thickened edged, different slabs, elevated slabs, slabs on grade, different concrete columns, whether they're square or circular, beams if you're creating your beams, building your walls. We've got stairs, form stairs and stair pans, and then some miscellaneous items in here. And all of these are customizable, and this database will grow as you use it and it evolves. But let's just take a look at some of these conditions and show you what they're doing. So I'm going to start off with just a square column footing. And inside of here, you're going to be telling it the depth and the size. So I'm saying this is a 6x6 footing. And you'll notice these little items down below getting red as I click in here. It's auto feeding. So if I'm changing the length and the width of my footer, it's going to be changing my form length and the depth automatically here. All right, so we'll keep this at 6x6. So down here, it's telling us our forms will need to be 6 feet by 6 feet, 1.5 feet deep. What type of forms are we using? Over here, we'll tell it the concrete PSI and what type of concrete we're using, the method of placement, the method of finishing. And again, these are going to be lookups specific to the concrete industry. Here we've got our ankle bolts and grout for the bolts and for our forms, right? And some other areas here, rebar. You know, we've got a lot of different ways of looking at rebar. We've got our master rebar size. Over here, it's automatically been fed the average length from what we put for the size of our footings over here. So I'm just telling it we've got 2 pieces, 12 inches on center, and it's going both ways. All right. And if you get into excavation, you know, it's auto feeding the depth and things like that from the length and the depth from your first page as well. So the Edge is trying to help you fill these out as quickly as possible. And then we've got in our miscellaneous things like chairs every 4 square feet. So very intuitive. And if you have multiple column sizes, all you need to do, and what I've done here, is you just hit this copy and insert. Going to change the color. And what that does is opens up another one. You name this whatever you want to name it. Column footing F6, change the size. All right, so I'll do that to be a 4x4. Everything else as far as my forms, my rebar, excavation, everything adjusts accordingly. We hit OK. Boom, we have another condition here. So that's a footing. Then we have strip footing or wall footings. Just looks a little bit different, where we're saying the width of that wall footing or strip footing and the depth. Again, it's going to auto feed for our forms. You notice this 369 is in here, and that's grayed out. That's coming from the actual measurement as you measure the wall footings. Again, you're just setting up your rebar, how many pieces, how many crossbars. If you're doing your excavation, all this is auto feeding from the original Generals tab, then miscellaneous chairs. So that's just a look at some of our footings. Let's go into one of our other pages and just take a look at a slab. All right, so we've got inner slabs, outer slabs, recessed slabs, where you want to do your saw cuts. Let's just open one of these up and give you a sneak peek. All right. So we're just telling it the thickness, what we're using for forms around the perimeter, concrete PSI type of concrete that we're using. If we're using rebar, setting that up, we have a different way that we can discuss in a demonstration of how this quick rebar will work. Right, and then we've got our excavation details, and here I'm adding things into miscellaneous like visqueen, soil poisoning chairs, curing, the wire mesh, installing the wire mesh if you're not using rebar. Okay, so once we've set up, and then we have specific conditions set up for walls and for stairs. I'll give you a quick look at the stair condition because it's pretty slick. Let's go into here. All right, so these are form stairs where we're telling it the riser depth, the width of the tread, the depth of the sides, average depth is going to figure for you, mid-landing, and the type of concrete we're using. Here we'll be discussing shoring and steel posts, and then we'll have our rebar specifically for the stairs in the mid-landing. All right, so that's what I mean by specific conditions, asking questions specifically for what concrete contractors would want to see. Once you've got your conditions, your assemblies built, just click out here, and this is going to bring you out to your takeoff, where you're just going to click on what you're measuring, whether you're counting. Here, if I zoom in a little bit, these say these are F6s, so I'm going to just count those up. All right, here's another one over here. And then we might have our strip footings, and those will be in lineal foots. So you can measure lineal foots like that, or you can actually come over here if you have any radius measurements like this. Hit the beginning of any radius, the middle point of any radius, and the end point. You either hit the letter K or just convert to arc, and that does that for you. We hit enter. So as we are measuring these, I'll move this over a little bit. You can start to see the different measurements for each one and how many counts or how many lineal feet come in here. And you do this for each of your pages. If you have your slabs, and I've done this takeoff already just for the sake of time, but you measure out your inner slabs, your outer slabs, measure your saw cuts, get your lineal footage of all of those. Right. And this takeoff screen is actually undocked from the rest of the program, so you can have that working on one monitor while you're actually viewing your estimate and how it's being affected on another monitor. So the Edge is really truly meant to be on a dual or even triple monitor setup. Okay, so once that's step 2 is the measuring, the next step after your measurings or your takeoff's done, it's going to move to your pricing screen. Here it's going to bring in all the materials based on the assemblies that you created, any subs that you asked for. So here we've got all of our forms, our plywoods, the actual rebar, the actual backfilling of sand. So all of these, you can have historical pricing, you can change pricing on a per job basis, and you can actually send that pricing back to your database so it'll be remembered for future jobs or for other users since you're all working in the cloud and using the same database. You can also mark certain items that you need pricing for and hit our little vendor quote feature. And this basically sends an email out to the vendors that you choose and sends them an email that they can open, press their pricing in. They can do that on their phone if they're out to lunch or something like that. Comes back into the Edge, and you can compare multiple suppliers' pricing side by side and choose which one you want. Once you choose that, automatically pulls those prices into your estimate for you. Here, one of the things I mentioned before is we want to make sure that things are being priced in the units that you want them to be in, but ordered in the units you want them to be in as well, because this is going to be creating your stocking list for you. Okay. If you've raised your pricing from what was already in your database, it'll let you know that prices went up or prices went down. They're never going to go down, but this will actually show you what percentage you move them up or down. All right, so next step is step 4, and that's going to be our labor screen. This labor screen is going to look very detailed. I have it very detailed based on what we're working on and how we want to look at it. this can be customized, as I said before, specifically to the way that you want to. I've got it looking pretty detailed, and if I'm just looking at form labor here, you can either put square foot, so it just says EU per hour, that's estimated unit. In this case, it's square foot, so how many square feet can be done per hour, or square feet per man day, or you can specify your crew size and tell it how many square feet can be done per crew day. All of these, no matter where you enter them, what number you enter in, is going to back calculate into all the other areas, so you can look at it multiple ways based on your pay rates and how long it's going to take. It's telling you how much it's going to cost per square foot. And some people just like the unit cost that. So if I said $12 a square foot, all of my other numbers adjust accordingly. And you can have your default production rates saved in here and just change them on a per job basis. From a management point of view, if you're looking at them that way and the estimator changed your default production rates, you can quickly review and say, oh, they slowed this labor down by 17% from what our standard was. So checks and balances there to help speed you up and make it easier for review. So the thing I want you to take away from this is that the Edge will customize the labor to make it look the way you want it to look. Okay. Step 5 will be our recap. And this is just where you're going to be looking at your different markups for material. You may have a tax markup, you may have an escalator price based on when you're bidding the job to when you do the job. Different labor markups. Some people just call it burden. Some people break it down into FICA, FUTA, SUTA, supervision, all those things. So we'll customize that with you. And then overhead and profit and getting to your final dollar amount. Okay, so that's how you go through an estimate very quickly with the Edge. Now you've won the estimate or you're bidding it. We have a custom proposal writer that comes with the Edge. We also have our reports that we talked about earlier. And any reports, whether it's a stocking report or an accounting report, let's just run one of those. All these reports can be sent into Excel, Word, PDF format, so you can save them all as files. Also, because the Edge is cloud-based, you can come out to your, what we call your portal, and this will show you all of your different jobs that have been done. Someone can be doing this without an actual Edge license. They can be in the road, they can be on their phone, they can be on a tablet. As long as you have a browser and a username and password, you can take a look at one of these bids, and then all of these reports that we just looked at are also available out here on the web. Okay. Also available out here on the web is if you wanted to send it directly into your foundation accounting software. We'll match up your accounting codes the way you want them to look, and we'll just create this foundation export to get your totals and create the job inside of your foundation software. So that was a quick sneak peek at what the Edge can do. Let me just pull up information here. So if you want a more detailed look at the Edge, and right now we're in beta with our concrete module. It'll be released next month. It will be at the World of Concrete showing this off. But if you want some information about it earlier, just go to estimatingedge.com or the foundation website, and you can send us an email and we'll schedule a more detailed demonstration for you. But check us out at the World of Concrete. And just for your information, the foundation also belongs to owns other softwares other than their accounting software in the Edge. They have electrical, mechanical, plumbing estimating software called McCormick. They have their project and safety suite called HQ Suite. Their payroll for construction is their payroll service, and then our time card mobile time tracking software titled WorkMax. All those you can find out about at the foundation website, but if you would like to see a more detailed demonstration of the Edge's concrete module, please reach out to us, www.estimatingedge.com. If there's any questions, feel free to type them in there. It looks like there aren't any questions, so please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you for spending some time with us, and we will wish you a happy holiday. Thank you.